Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm really excited about today. We have Jasmin and Darien May with us, which is the first husband-wife team that we've had on the show. So it's gonna be really nice to switch it up and get to know you guys. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having
Happy
us.
to be here.
We're
Thank you
super
for
excited.
reaching out.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And let's just let me do like a very brief introduction. Jasmine is currently the head of talent over at Verse. And Darien is currently the director of global talent acquisition at Eventbrite. So they are a husband-wife team in multiple definitions in terms of professionally and personally. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to honestly really dialing in too on how you guys like just helped each other uh throughout the years and like what that must be like at home, being able to like support each other and help each other be the best version of yourselves at work and just more holistically as well. So
Sure. Yeah. Excited to
It's
dive in.
it's nice to have like your in-house consultant. And funny enough, we kind of don't get tired of it, of talking about it. It never feels heavy.
Yeah, we have to like literally say, okay, enough work. Well, and we'd say that, and then of course work
We'll
comes
go right
back
back
up.
to it.
But
Yeah.
like,
yeah. Does it like creep up when it's like I think where it'd probably be the hardest is like when you're just trying to relax at night and it's like 9, 10 o'clock and you're trying to wind down, but you both are just like in tech, in talent acquisition leadership roles. So I'm assuming it's like it'll just kind of slip out like 9:30 and I like, oh, by the way, this thing happened at work, and then you just start going. I'm assuming that probably happens all the time.
No, all the time. And I
Yeah.
think some of the best ones are when we're kind of like ear hustling each other's meetings, and she'll hang up or I'll hang up. I'm like, I just went through that too. Do you want to do you want to talk about that? You want to download about your plan of action, how to move forward? I think I asked literally something about that yesterday. I was like, hey, you want to read this Slack before I send it? Is it copacetic? And yes, she's like, yeah, I've done that too. So I think that's the best way about it.
yeah, we have our like in-house advisors. Like
Yeah.
he's absolutely my advisor, and like vice versa. We have to actively say, okay, let's shut it down. But I will say it's invaluable. It's so amazing to
Yeah.
have that. I always say when people ask me about him and like, oh, your husband does the same thing. I'm like, yeah, but he's actually better than me. Like
No.
quiet as it's kept. He is. It's so great to like just I don't know gut check so many things with him. And we always say, okay, last thing I'm going to say about this.
Yeah. How many times do you say that before?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys grew up in Virginia, right?
Mhm.
We did. Very, very similar upbringings. I grew up in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and she was down in the beach area, if you're familiar, but to be more specific. Yeah,
757.
yeah,
If you know, you know.
yeah.
Specifically Hampton Roads. And I will say that's where I spent most of my life, but I came from a military background. My dad's retired Air Force, so I was actually born in Belgium. And then we moved a little later to Alabama. And then my dad officially retired in Virginia, and that's where my mom's from. So we decided to stay. So yeah, I would say a bulk of my
Yeah,
childhood.
same. And I was born in Mississippi, then moved immediately to Puerto Rico, spent a few years there. Instead of squirrels, they're iguanas. So that was fun. The rain was always warm. And then I think Florida, and then after that we settled in uh Fredericksburg, where if you're familiar with this, if the familiar with the 95, my parents commuted up to Quantico. My mom actually just retired from the FBI
Nice.
like last summer. Super, super happy for her. But yeah, they're still there. Hopefully we get them to move out here soon.
We're working on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
If
So
y'all are listening, get
yeah,
here,
yeah.
please.
I'll send them this.
With our daughter.
Yeah.
And so, Darian, your dad was and mom were Navy for a while, right?
Yeah. My dad did
Yep.
22-ish years in the Navy. My mom did 8.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I think that foundation, having military parents, watching your dad kind of drown his pants in starch very early on, making sure there's no creases, and then him coming behind you when you clean the bathroom, like, hey, I think you missed a spot. Very, very early on, you're like, you have this vision of excellence and perfection kind of ingrained in you, not only just because you're taught that you have to be twice as good, given where our parents are coming from, but just because of that military background as well. And you kind of take that into your friendships, your personal relationships, the workplace as well. I think that foundation has really set the stage for how I've gotten to be where I'm at this age as well.
I would agree. It's funny when you said the starch comment. You ever get those moments you hear something and it triggers like a memory? I could vividly like smell the starch. I don't know if you've ever had like a can of spray,
Oh my
but I
God.
can smell it and I can see it. It's like a green bottle with a little rainbow in it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go look it up
Yeah,
now
yeah,
so I can like see it.
yeah.
But like, yeah, we very much live the same life. My dad, same thing, retired Air Force, and yeah, just so many things about like that they instilled in us from like order and just having, a rhyme to a reason. Even waking up every day, your bed had to be made as soon as you get up. You're not leaving this house without the bed made. But yeah, it shaped so much like foundationally
Yeah.
that when you think back on it, yeah, a lot of my life was shaped around that.
Mhm.
And my mother too, like, things that she went through in her childhood growing up in Virginia. She was born and raised in Hampton, Virginia, and just the things that she's gone through as well instilled in me.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the prep call initially, and then before we hit record today, you both brought up like the term excellence several times, right? Um, and, and I would love to learn just more about maybe like why that's so important to you. I know you touched on it in terms of like military background and really just maybe more insight is like why that's so important, and then also what that really means in terms of execution, like just sort of thinking about like how it applies to your life today and how you carry that forward, like your personal life, professionally. But yeah, let's just start with like why is that? Can you tell me more about why that concept is so important to you both?
Yeah, for me, it's more so understanding. I think most kids, you don't understand how much your parents have sacrificed until it's too late. And that light bulb went off for me probably like when I was like 22-ish, 21. And I'm like, man, my parents have really, I'm a middle child also too. So they're still parenting my younger brother. And then I'm in school and then my older brother as well. So we're 3 years apart. And then we have a 9-year gap with my younger brother. And so you see them still actively parenting. You see them still if I ask for $20 for a haircut in college and then I hear my mom might not be getting her nails done, that doesn't resonate, right? Until a later date. I'm like, oh, I was taking from them. In a way, they have a responsibility. They feel like they have a responsibility, but then as I move through my life, I'm like, I have a responsibility to be excellent because of the sacrifices that they made as well. We kind of touched on this in the prep. My father is from Mississippi. I was born in Mississippi, but he's literally from the poorest county in the state, and he had to escape a very, very harsh upbringing. His home was maybe the size of the room that we're sitting in now, multiple children, and he joined the military at 17, not because he wanted to, because he had to get out of that environment. And so when I think about when I think about excellence, I have a certain responsibility, not only to myself, not only to my child, but to the legacy and the generation before me because of how much they sacrificed to put me in this place. And I'd be damned if I make waste of those sacrifices, the long commutes, the traveling back and forth, the airport trips when they're trying to figure out how to get my mother in Puerto Rico, the different type of military kind of assignments as well. And all those things kind of start to flood back when you have those memories of going to the airport. But my dad was actually stressed with 2 kids and a dog by himself at a very young age. I'm like, for me, I'm like, oh, that was fun. We're going to Puerto Rico, flying back to Jacksonville or whatever it is. But now you're like, oh, my parents are making sacrifices to make sure that we didn't stress. And so when I think about excellence and showing up in the workplace, it's not just for me and for my family, but it's for the sacrifices my parents made. And I just have a psychotic sense of like I want to be the best at everything I do, and represent my family at that best I can.
Solid. Yeah, I would say the same thing. Like, I think we kind of talked about this earlier, but Darien and I, we met really early in age, and I think we immediately clicked because foundationally, our upbringings were so similar. Like both of our parents did. Well, my dad is retired military. My mom was, met my dad when she was 21. So a lot of her life is kind of shaped around that too. And my dad also, he's from Brooklyn, New York. He grew up in Bed-Stuy in the 60s and 70s. He was in, Marcy Projects. Like had a very tough life and a life where it's literally survival of the fittest and you have to be better and you have to do better and want better for yourself to get out of there. A lot of his friends, didn't make it out and are no longer here or just in a bad situation. So I think it's so funny. I always say my dad is like, if you know him, he's the best storyteller in the world. Like he's honestly so good. And he would tell me so many stories from when he was younger and I always appreciated the stories because he's very animated and brings stories to life, and very serious stories that you may not realize when you're younger, like the gravity of them. But as you get older and you start to go through life, I realize like, wow, Dad, like you really went through some like tough things. I understand now why you were so hard on me and why you had, again, that word excellence, like why you had this bar of excellence. And he would always tell me my maiden name is Smith. He'd be like, "You're a Smith." And so you like things that my friends are doing, and I would say, "Well, I was, doing this because, well, they did what I don't care because you're a Smith and this is how you have to be." And now that I'm older and I realize and I'm in life as a Black woman and I'm in life in like these areas where I am expected to be at a certain level, I understand why my bar is higher and why I need to have that bar for myself at least. And proving, for myself, for my family, for my daughter, and just stepping into who I know I am. And I'm so thankful that I was instilled those values and those just honestly ways of life and ways of living at such an early age, because it instilled in me that feeling and that belief like I can do anything I want to. I really can because I believe it, because I know it and I prep for it. I was also telling Darian, we were kind of talking about this earlier. Like, I remember having to be so put together, like literally in elementary school. Like if I wanted to go to a sleepover and I wanted to go hang out, normally you're like, hey, and you're nervous. You're like, hey, go ask your dad if you can spend the night. And so you just like, hey, can I go spend the night at Brittany's? I had to come together with like a full presentation on what is happening at Brittany's, where exactly does Brittany live, why do I want to go there? And that was like just the standard for everything that I wanted to get done. So I think like as it stands today, and sometimes it can be a point of contention with both of us. I just like to have a plan and I like to think of like every foolproof part of it. Any scenario that could go wrong, I want to know and I want to have it all put together of how it's going to go right. And definitely it was annoying when I was younger, but I think I love that about me now.
I think the funniest part with that, how we were both brought up very similarly, is how we both operate in those high pressure moments. Like for each, she has to over prepare, and she's going to have a very, very tight way in which she delivers information. Me, if I over prepare, I will stumble. So I have to shoot from the hip. But like I like to just kind of riff, and I'm not like big into the presentation decks. I'll have like 3 or 4 bullets, and I feel most comfortable. But because of the pressure that I was put under as a child to be excellent, those situations don't stress me out. So I can just kind of flow through them. I'll have some notes here and there, but it's always funny to see how we both have had different, we always, what's the debate we have, nurture versus nature, and how that kind of plays out, and how we have both had very similar upbringings to that extent, but the excellence piece and how we move through those conversations and navigate the nuances between them is always funny to see.
Yeah, a solid example of the nature.
Yeah, yeah,
Nurture
yeah.
was very similar, but in our nature, we
Yeah.
just inevitably we are who we are.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, it's like one of our favorite household debates.
Yeah, yeah. Every game night, we make everybody have that debate.
Yeah. How do you feel like the concept of let's look at like concept you can almost call it like excellence like a value, I would say. Like or maybe principle, however you want to define it. But I'm curious like professionally how it shows up in terms of how you lead a department today. Um Maybe we could talk about it in terms of we didn't talk about this on the prep, but I would just love to learn how the concept of like excellence shows up in how you lead a TA motion because and then also we could talk about like in parenting too because I think it's really interesting. It's an interesting concept and like as a dad myself, I'm always trying to like strike that balance of like high standards with like empathy and accepting and like how to blend those things together like appropriately. I'm just curious like from a leadership standpoint, how do you kind of instill that value of excellence and how do you make that part of your culture for your team?
Yeah, we had the same, and we'll get to this probably later. We had the same boss coming out of school. We worked together as well. And one thing that I quote incessantly is that activity is king. And I've never seen anyone who chases activity fail. I've seen that activity or that success or that goal shift. But I've never seen that person be successful eventually. And so that is what I preach to my team in terms of being excellent. Keep moving forward. And also, too, as cliche as it is, I've done everything you can do in recruiting. I filled a C-suite role last year as well as an intern. There's nothing below me or beneath me, and I wouldn't ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. So I put myself on Front Street in terms of handling the narrative and kind of bridging the gap between the hard conversations and freeing them up to be as active as possible. And that's my level of excellence. But also to your point, how do I help them navigate the work life as well. And if you have that laptop open, give me 110, but I want you to close it at 5 p.m. Right? I don't want you to be me early in my career where I was burning out and running through walls and saying yes to everything. I want you to tell me no. It's very, very healthy. And then that also, when you lead in, when you kind of water that seed a little bit, it gives them more ample opportunity and energy to want to be excellent for you as well. So you protect them, you prioritize your team. I think a lot of recruiters and talent partners, whatever the moniker might be, they get talent leaders who prioritize the business. And I prioritize my team. By prioritizing my team, they prioritize me, who then serves the business, right? And so I try to lead with that activity and comes full circle in terms of that bar of excellence as well.
That's solid. Yeah, I love that you pointed out like doing things for the business because ultimately we are, and I really see this. I think my mindset has shifted going from leadership within a Fortune 500, like really big company, to like startup life is completely different than like
Yeah,
how
seriously.
it can be in other places. And I think something that shifted for me is like knowing do it for the business. Like we all are stakeholders. We all want to be successful and we're trusted to do that. But I think it makes you realize, and for me, something I've realized very recently is like a shift in maybe how I used to get things done. Like I think I mentioned my bar of excellence is like having every single scenario played out, understanding what could go wrong, what needs to go right. But in a startup life, it's fast. Like analysis paralysis will literally cripple you.
Yeah.
And I had to realize, like, okay, yes, we need to have our ducks in a row, but we also need to move things forward. Like, and I like that you mentioned that, like you have to be active, you have to have activity. And for me, it was letting those guardrails down and realizing it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to have a little bit of risk as long as we're, of course, doing that like analysis after and understanding, okay, if it did go wrong, this is why, and like how do we course correct and how do we move forward?
I like this. I like that you talked about mistakes a little bit because I think that this is maybe something you can share a little bit more about, but like being excellent doesn't mean not making mistakes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had to, and so that is something, and that's not something I recently realized. I had to learn that throughout the course of my life. And I do think it's because, and of course, my parents were excellent in so many things that I take away from them that I absolutely loved. But I do think the bar was so high for them because of the life that they lived and how they were molded and wanting me to just have such a different life. It put a lot of pressure on me to be, or to kind of confuse excellence with perfection.
Yeah.
And I had to
Mhm.
realize like, very quickly for myself, like it's okay to let myself down or let my parents down or let whoever down because you can learn from that and you can bounce back from that. And like that's personally in relationships, professionally and work. Like I had to realize a bar of excellence doesn't mean, to your point, James, that you're not going to fail sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like what you do after that failure and how you move forward. I think that's what really separates like good and great from
Yeah.
excellent.
Failure is so healthy too. I think we're all you're familiar with the what is it, the 10,000 hours, right? It kind of goes against the practice makes perfect. No, practice builds confidence. None of us are perfect. You're going to miss shots, and that's okay. But at least you're taking the shots with confidence, and that's all you're saying. I think that's the best way to go about it. And you have to eat that steak sometimes rare. It might not be medium rare, it might not be medium, but we got to ship it. You got to take it to the table.
That's so true.
Yeah, you have to serve something.
That's a solid point.
Yeah.
I think that that's honestly like a kind of an evolution that I'm going through, like at this point in my career, just making a further distinction between like I didn't say it exactly like this, but potentially between like excellence and being a perfectionist, right? Like I really have been focusing on stop trying to be perfect, stop setting like not trying to like knock it out the park like every single moment for every single important thing that I have to do. It's just more about like, hey, I'm gonna be really consistent and I'm gonna learn from everything that I'm doing and I'm gonna get better. And I'm gonna create a system that is better and that's more repeatable and is closer to achieving what I want to. and life, it's taking a little bit, and I think in a way it sort of takes a little bit of that pressure off too, where it's like, look, you start looking at everything like a formula, like a puzzle you're trying to solve, and um, versus like this idea of being perfect. It's like this idea of like focusing on progress and keeping the bar really high. Frankly, like if you always reach the bar, it's probably not high enough, right? Like,
That's
you know
so
what I
true.
mean? Like maybe that's the way to think about it. It's like we should be raising, we should have goals that if we're hitting them every time, then like maybe they aren't the right goals, right?
Solid. Yeah, completely agree, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, so you both went to college together, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if
Yeah.
initially, but right, like you ended up
Yeah,
Darien, I think transferring schools, is that right? Or
Yeah. Did you
I
transfer
I
schools?
did.
I think it was for someone, right? I don't.
I used to say it was for because I went to private school, and I will say the tuition, the savings was really good when I went to public school, but it was for my wife, my then girlfriend, Jasmin. Yes, I made that transfer. I went to HBCU, Virginia Union University. That was right around the corner, literally walking distance from VCU. We met our at the end of our first semester
Mhm.
of college, and then made it official that first month, second semester. And we've been in it ever since. That's 16 years ago.
Yeah.
16 years ago. We've been married for 10.
Mhm.
Or we'll
That's
be
cool.
married in May.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. So the 10-year anniversary is coming up.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
What do you have planned? Do you have anything planned? Jasmine
Oh,
probably has something planned. It sounds like
yes.
she's got like the yeah.
You know, it's funny. We both are very much into this together. So we wanted to
Yes.
do something big. A big part of it. So as you can imagine, meeting at 18, meeting in college, a lot of our friends have been there for the entire journey. So our
Mhm.
friends have just been so important and like
Yeah.
pivotal in our relationship. And just like I remember there were times like I'd be upset about something and I'd vent to a friend and they're like, nah, like just would like dismiss my feelings because they just love Darian so much. Like he's great. And like they have just been lockstep with us for so long. So we wanted to do something that obviously celebrates our marriage at this milestone, but also just celebrates our friends and family who have been like just such a big just foundation and part of this with us. So we're actually having so we were married in May. Our last name is May. So our hashtag for our wedding was May Day.
Mhm.
We're having
Nice.
a May, and so everybody knows like our anniversary. We always call it. They'll say Happy May Day every year. So we're having a May Day murder mystery dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That
I
sounds really cool.
So I love horror movies, but my favorite subgenre of horror movies or thrillers is a murder mystery. And it's been top of mind for me for years. I'm like, can we just host a dinner with like 10 people? And then we're like, you know what? Might as well just do it for all our friends and family. So they're gonna come in and a bunch of local friends as well. And we have a venue instead of like doing your 10-year kind of vow renewal, we're just doing it our way and doing a murder mystery dinner.
Yeah, we're going all out.
Yeah.
We're like we just finished like the last touches for like the design. It's gonna be like
Mm.
speakeasy vibes. It's gonna be 1920s themed. So everybody has to come dressed like mobsters, mob wives,
Yeah.
like the
Oh,
whole
nice.
all of our friends know like you have to really play into these
Yeah, you'll
characters
be turned away
because
at the door for sure.
Oh,
and
wow.
we're going all out. Like yes, 50 people and
Yeah,
yes,
Oh, 50.
50.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so this is like a full this is
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure this is taking a lot of planning.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm
Yeah.
the planner extraordinaire.
She's our
And Darian's actually been doing a lot of
yeah,
planning as
yeah, I
well to
believe
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Been taking it very seriously.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah.
I'll circle back with you on like
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
everything goes. Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah,
do
seriously.
here's all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man. So how does that work? So you're setting up like a it's like a puzzle essentially. Like you're actually like, how is it gonna
So I actually I
go?
hired this company that would host.
You hired a
Yeah.
whole company. This is okay.
So
Tell me this is
they
really
bring in
cool.
the actors. They'll have people in that actually know the script. We don't know anything. They
Yeah.
tell us to dress up. Everybody has kind of a persona. And then they'll draft like 10 of our guests to also act next to the five or so actors. And then we'll kind of solve the mystery together. They'll break us up in like groups of like 10 or so. But we have
Wow.
no idea what the script is. And they come in
Yeah.
and they host us. I
So
love
it's a mystery for you as well. Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
fact
yeah.
like you have to be the one managing because managing it sounds like a lot of work if you
Yeah.
Yeah, we
that
did
wouldn't be.
not do that. We want to enjoy it. We're gonna have another show we love too is Traders. Are you familiar with Traders at all? The
I'm not actually. What's that?
Okay, so it's like this show where you go to the countries. I think it originated in the UK. They brought it to the US. It's like celebrities that are on there, but also
Yeah.
mixed with like regular people. But basically, there's a murder every night. It's like a game, and then people are getting voted off the show. So you're trying to figure out who is the
Yeah.
traitor amongst you. So
Yeah.
kind of like murder mystery. But as I like to say, they do like a confessional. So you go in the booth and like you just talk crazy, like who do you think it is and things like that. So we're gonna have like a confessional booth.
Nice.
We're gonna have all that like fun stuff to make it
Yeah. And our friends are very animated people too, so it'll be
very,
good. It will
yeah.
be
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
They'll play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are gonna take like lots of photos and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
document this.
So video, we're gonna have a video person to do all of it. We're gonna have a photographer, of course, like
Yeah.
do all the fun stuff. Yeah.
Is this gonna become an annual thing? Do you think?
Oh,
We do something like a big thing every 5 years. So the first May Day, like big May Day celebration we did 5 years ago, we had everybody come to
it's kind
Houston.
of like our housewarming as well. We had just finished our home,
Nice.
with all of our friends. So
Oh,
we've
that's
been
awesome.
like 5 cities in the last 7 years or so. So we've met friends slash family in each city we've been in. So everybody came in, some of our college friends, some of my childhood friends, friends from San Francisco, Houston friends. It was kind of
Phoenix.
one, yeah, Phoenix.
Mhm.
We've lived a lot of places. And everybody came together and we kind of broke bread together in our home. And it was a celebration all weekend. It was nice.
Oh, that's
This
awesome.
will be the 10 years. So maybe in 15,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. We'll
we
invite
gotta
you.
up it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, we're excited.
Nice.
Excited. I
Nice. I'm
keep
excited for you guys. I'm really excited for you actually. This
loving.
sounds so cool. Well, hey, look, I want to talk about when you both started to work together, like the beginning of the career. I think it's a really cool story. So, Jasmine, I guess out of school, you got a job at like a boutique recruiting staffing firm in Ruston. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
I was actually at a Valspar. So I studied fashion. So I studied something completely different than what I'm doing today, obviously. And I started off in a position that was like kind of doing like marketing and sales at Valspar at the time. I don't even think it's a company anymore. I think it's owned by Sherwin-Williams, but it's a paint company and they were doing like the paint studio revolution. But I started there. I had to travel every week, and obviously, I was just out of college. My friends were still all around. Like I just felt like so much FOMO. I thought the life of travel felt so like fun and like cool, and I hated it. So I think I was 6 months in, loved the job, but I hated traveling. So ended up looking for a new role, and I had some people I don't even remember like kind of tell me about recruiting. I was like, I could try that. I like to talk a lot. Like I'll go see what I can do here. And then got a job, yeah, at an agency. It was like agency recruiting at E10 Group at the time. I don't think they're named that anymore. But yeah, and then 6 months later.
I don't. It might have been 6 months later. Yeah. So I went to school again for something completely different than what I'm doing now. I actually got a criminal justice degree. Go figure. Parents were very inspiring with that choice. And yeah, I kind of really didn't know what I wanted to do at that time. I wanted to go become a police officer, and Freddie Gray was killed in Baltimore County, and just really had me reassessing what I wanted to do and how I wanted to go about utilizing my degree. But I'm a very altruistic person. I want to help people, right? And so I wanted to continue to do that. At that time, Jazz was like, "Hey, I'm giving out dream jobs to people, helping people, and putting smiles on people's faces." I was like, "That sounds cool. Let me throw my name in the hat." It was a unique situation because that boutique firm, E10 Group that you mentioned, was 5 or 6 or so employees in a very
Like 100 total, but
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
in
Reston
that
office,
office.
it was teeny. It
So
was
like, it
like
was like the 100 like in terms of people billing, but the corporate team was 5 or 6, or was there like 100 recruiters?
so the corporate team is
Oh,
actually headquartered in Charlotte. So
Yeah.
like that
oh, okay.
area of business and like most of our clients in that area, it was like maybe 50 or so people in that office, but then they had like sister offices. So we had one, Charlotte was the main one. There was one in
Nashville.
Nashville. There was one in
Winston.
Another part of, yeah, North Carolina, South Carolina, and then Ruston actually was the smallest
Yeah.
office of all of them
Yeah.
with, at the time, I think it was 5 people at
Yeah.
the time.
And-
Very small.
But they were small but powerful, right? And like
Yeah.
we had a great leader there. He was a machine, right? But to that extent, you're really rolling the dice on bringing in, she's still a new employee at that time, probably still on probation. And you're like, hey, let's hire my boyfriend who,
Yeah, that's yeah, she really stuck her neck out for you there.
yeah, no, she did. I could have like really blew up her spot and not a great way, right? But they really took a chance on me because of the advocacy that she did for me very, very early on. And so and that's continued to be a theme that we'll talk more about in our life and in our career and personal relationships as well. But yeah, she stuck her neck out for me, got me an interview. Actually, I interviewed with the team and they liked me, but it was such a taboo hire. They actually had one of the VPs come in.
The regional.
Yeah, regional VPs come in, and then I think we got coffee, and he grilled the hell out of me, man. And he was like, "What?" He was like, "Are you serious about her?" Just all the questions. I feel like I was talking,
Really?
yeah, father, because I could
Wow.
accept the feng shui of the office if we broke up. And no, and I convinced him. Brian was his name. Convinced Brian, took a shot on me. And yeah, that was all she wrote. And we worked together. And I think, and we talked about this a little bit as well. It's one thing to know what your spouse does or your partner does, and you hear about it, but actually seeing it in motion is a different level of inspiration and bar setting in your home. For me, she's always been my bar. I rode her coattails her entire career in college, all the things, and so she was always my center of excellence. And seeing that on Front Street, seeing her smiling and dialing and just smashing, she was the best recruiter in our office, and by a mile. And so that was very inspiring for me to also want to stay close, and also work on my own craft and take it very, very seriously. So very early on, we talk about excellence. I saw it on full display, and I applied that to the same way that I approach recruiting very, very early on, not just for myself, but I saw it. I saw that she also advocated for me, so I couldn't let her down in that sense either. So no, she was smashing it.
He is being very, very modest. I think a good recruiter knows good talent. Like, I think that's like one thing that I think separates like really, really, really great recruiters. And I knew early and like looking at potential, and that advocacy started for me very early. This was one of my first like biggest moments where I had to advocate for my candidate. Like, he wasn't my candidate, was.
Yeah.
But I knew like the potential. Like, I knew through those first 6 months, which was a lot, like starting off, you're thrown into it. And I knew very early, looking at what success was and looking at like some of the star players in our company, I'm like, I know he could do this job and I know he could do it very, very well.
Yeah.
And so shout out to my boss at the time, Hunter McElfish. He still to this day is one of my favorite bosses that I've ever had because of that ability to see potential as well. Like,
Yeah.
he saw so much potential in me, and then again, this is 6 months in, and believed so much in what I was saying and how my advocacy, that he took a shot and gave a chance to Darien, and we both ended up doing amazing. He actually ended up, in agency recruiting, you're a recruiter, and then if you're really, really good, you go to business development work, and he went to business development work so quickly because
Nice. Yeah, I can see
testament to
that.
how great he is. Yeah, so
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I don't know who's going to listen to this, so I can't say he was my favorite boss. But if no one else is listening,
He's up
100
there.
percent. I quote him on a daily basis. He was a machine.
Yeah.
His work ethic was one of one.
I agree. Yeah.
So you both started the agency in Ruston, probably within a mile of where I am right now. What part of Sunrise Valley was it? Like, I'm trying to wondering where it was.
I'm like, do I remember the address? I think it's like 12 something. It's from, that big, is it the khaki building? It's like a really secret building, like
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This one.
right across the street from it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't
know.
know what building. I just remember
Yeah.
the cards and yeah.
What was
You can
the
see it from 267 on the way to
yes.
Dulles, right?
Yeah. We were
Yeah, I think I
literally
know where that
right
is.
there. Mhm.
Yeah.
What's the place
Cafe.
the happy hour, that spot that Hunter always took us to?
So fun.
I forget. It'll come to me on in this episode.
Yeah.
When it comes to me, I'll let you know what it was. We went there
Yeah.
like
Yeah, they have like a So he used to love, he was very
Yeah, I
competitive.
love
So
arcade
he
games.
loved to do things like place bets, like, all right, let's go play
Skee
skee
ball.
ball.
Oh, like was like carpool? I don't know if they
Yes.
that was
Oh
it?
God.
Nice. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
That,
Yeah, they still have that. It's the one in Herndon off Eldon Street, right?
Yes.
that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's literally the
Wow.
one. Wow,
That's
memory.
actually good. I haven't been there in a minute. I need to take my team there.
Yeah. It'll be
Yeah.
like a random Friday, like 2:30. He's like, I'm
All right,
over
let's go.
it.
That's the
We're
purple.
like, hell yeah. Let's do it.
He's like, all right, first round. It's like create tournaments.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay, first this, like
Carpool. Yep,
yeah.
that was
So
it.
that
That's it. That's the one. That's I don't know why I just randomly haven't thought about that place in like a year. I've been there like within the last few years, but just a couple of times. I always it's like I always kind of sleep on it and then I randomly will like it'll come up and be like, "Oh, I gotta go."
That's the
So,
spot.
it is one of those spots too. And then once you go, you're just like, oh
Yeah, that was the spot.
man. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Nice, nice. Well, okay, so you both had the job at the staffing agency, but that was when shortly after, didn't you decide to move to Phoenix? Or is that okay?
So we moved to Phoenix, and then they actually asked me, I was going to leave, but they asked me like, "Hey, do you want to stay and work remote?" And remote wasn't even like a thing at that time. This is 2016.
Mm.
So I was like, "Yes, I would love to." So we moved to Phoenix. I worked remote and ended up leaving and going to at
Randstad.
the time another
Yeah,
agency, and then
hated it.
I bet. I
so
get it, man.
I
Oh, God.
we can be honest, like
Oh,
I get it. I get it.
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I ended up, so like I said, as soon as we moved to Phoenix, a really big part of it, I don't think if we hadn't have moved to the West Coast, I don't think I would have been on Google's radar at all. I got an
Yeah.
email from Google that the same year we moved, I think it was like the end of that year,
Yeah.
asking if I'm interested in roles and to move to Mountain View at the time. I think it was Mountain View and other few options, but Mountain View was like the closest to me. So ended up interviewing, took the job, moved, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, again, being young and just really just saying, okay, we'll make it work. I was like, I'll go back and forth because at the time we were still in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's not a bad trip. It's like, an hour flight. Like it's not too
Yeah,
bad.
that's fine.
So I get the job there. Darien, this is story of his life. He's like, I gotta like meet her. Okay. So he decides, and I did actually refer him into Google. I said, actually, I do know another recruiter who's
Well, yeah, let's slow down on that for a minute. So everybody tuning in, like this the Jasmine getting Darien a job, that wasn't a one-time
That's it.
occurrence, like where she got him a job at the same company.
You got me
It
the
happened
job.
again at Google.
Yeah.
It
yeah.
was twice. Did it happen more than twice, or what? It was
Well,
No.
actually, the first time was at Virginia Commonwealth
Oh,
University. It was
yes.
actually
oh
you.
That's three.
And I worked in graduate admissions.
Yes.
And then I graduated. I graduated 6 months before him. So I was graduating, and my boss was like, what are we going to do? I said, well, actually,
Yeah.
I have somebody great who can do this job. So actually, I got him. He took my
three.
PCU.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
And then and then he came to Tank Group. And then I went to Google. And I was like, hey, do you guys still need recruiters? I actually know an amazing recruiter.
Yeah.
And his resume. And these are not easy. It's not like I was like, hey, give him this job. Like, no, it was very much like, hey, here's his information. He had to do everything. It's not easy to get a job at Google. Like
You kind of glossed over that too. You're like, yeah, I got a job at Google. No, that was like probably like one of the heaviest. And I got to see you on Front Street doing that interview as well. That was a very, very, very heavy to this day. Probably top 3 or 4 conversations I've had from an interview process standpoint.
It's an incredibly high bar to get hired at Google. I mean, it always has been, particularly on the
yeah.
recruiting team. Like, I mean, I remember that was a big goal a lot of people had when I was starting out. I started at Kforce, a big staffing company in
Oh, yeah.
Houston. Yeah, so that's how we were very close to the Reston area too.
Mhm.
But that was a goal a lot of people had, and most people couldn't pull it off, frankly, like because they were so selective. So kudos to you guys to be able to pull that off because few and far between, right?
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And yeah, I say that to say uh I think 2 weeks later, 2 or 3, it was like within a month's time though. And he was like, took it so seriously. And I'll let him tell the story because he always says how he was thinking in that moment. I don't know that pressure, but
Yeah, no, and that pressure, I think that's like top 3 for me. Like, is she gonna say yes when I get on one knee? And can I get this job at Google? I can't watch my wife fly back and forth. She's doing it with a smile on her face, but like, I can't mess this beautiful opportunity up. And I could have moved to Mountain View and started from scratch and probably got a job somewhere else, but I wanted to make sure that it was a very smooth transition. And so she referred me in. And we had different recruiters. I remember my recruiter just being like, "Hey, are you sure? Are you prepared for this? Blah blah blah." And I'm like, I kid you not, I am. I actually at this point, if you're familiar with Laszlo Bach. I forget. I might be butchering his last name, but he was one of the original, or not original, but one of the keystone creators of the HR policies at Google. So I literally read his book within like a week or so to prepare myself for the interview process. And like Googliness is a big thing about how you present and how you actually answer some of those questions, how you do the general cognitive ability conversation as well, which is another part of the interview process that knocks a lot of folks out. So I took it very, very seriously. So that process also uh, coined with the pressure of my wife already having the job was insurmountable. But yeah, they took a shot on me as well, and I ended up getting that, and we broke our lease again. That's also a theme of ours. Broke our lease, and we ended up moving. We're both massive Eagles fans, and so we ended up moving. I started my job. So I accepted the job. We moved to San Francisco and got there, I think, the weekend of the Super Bowl. And so the Eagles win on Sunday. And then my first day at Google, I have no voice. Uh, my voice is completely gone. But it was like probably one of the best weekends of my life.
Remind me to send you that video of when the Eagles won and like exactly why
Yes.
his voice is
Yeah.
gone. He's like
Yes.
popping a bottle of champagne, like
Yeah.
spraying it, and just like screaming. Like it was.
Yeah, yeah. Send me that video, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
will.
Hours later, showing up for orientation. That was a
One
time.
at
It was a
a
time.
time.
That's awesome. And then Jasmine, so you actually moved into a recruiting manager role at Google, right? So
Mhm.
that's pretty cool. So you made your transition into management leadership at Google.
Yeah, which
That's
I always say, it's so funny. So a few things. I at the time did not want to be a manager. I had no like I remember specifically in my one-on-one, I remember saying like, yeah, I just want to be like I remember seeing there was like this VP level person at Google at the time who was like a VP IC. And I was like, that's so neat. Like I knew I wanted to go really far up, but I was like, I want to do that like as an
yeah.
IC. I'd love to be like a consultant or I forgot what his job was. It was like a leadership coach or something. Anywho, right after that, my boss at the time ends up leaving. And right before he left, he was like, listen, I want you to do like basically giving me the talk of like what he sees in me as a leader and like mentorship and things like that. And then his boss and it just ends up asking me like, hey, and I was actually pregnant at the time as well. So it was
Oh
so
wow.
many things like shifting through my mind. And it ultimately, I ended up saying yes. And I'm so glad I did because it did change the course of like my career and like just like my mindset on so many things. And I am happy to be in the position I am today. But yeah, started in management, not only starting in management there, but also leading the team that of people that or leading my peers. So I was peers first. Like I didn't step into a management role into like another team. Like I stepped into management of a team that we were previously peers. But I will say very hard to do, but I had the best team ever and they were so supportive, like still to this day, just so thankful of how easy they made the transition for me, how
Wow,
they
man.
were my champions. They didn't push back on it at all. Like it really, for me, instilled like another level of confidence. I think coming into a management role from IC, you're already kind of feeling like a fish out of water, but having a team that like reassures you, like, no, 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 this made complete sense to us. Like we actually pushed for it too. Like how do you not see it? So like
Mm.
I think that was like such a big thing that I'll just never forget and always be so appreciative of my team for making that transition so great for me.
It must be a really cool place and challenging place, I would assume, to have your first management job. Like it sounds like a really cool place to have a foundation and leadership,
Oh yeah, the
right?
best place to have a foundation, and I will say too, it's one of those places where the bar for impact is so high. Like you're constantly needing to like show impact. Like you have like the how, the what, the why. Like people who've been there, they know. But you're always like in a leadership role without the title. Like leading without authority is very much like a thing there. So I think it developed me even before I was a manager in so many ways to be a good leader that it did feel like a natural, like, you know, progression up. Like even my stakeholders, like they were all like championing it because I did like show up like that. I had the opportunity to be a leader like before having the title too. But yeah, big pressure. But I'm so happy that I went through it and it taught me so much.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I would love to talk a little bit about um, where you both are today. And there's a lot I want to talk about holistically for you both in terms of professionally, personally, and I really want to get into the chapter. We're getting into the chapter of like who you want to become and what the next best version of yourself looks like. But let's just dial in on where you are today. Specifically, we could start within talent acquisition, and we'll expand from there. But Jasmine, now you're head of talent over at Verse. Darien, you're now director of global TA at Eventbrite. Um, both very competitive tech organizations. And from a talent acquisition perspective, Darren, we can start with you here. I know that the top TA takeaway that you mentioned in terms of like being a TA leader, you said that it's like it's important uh, to prioritize like the human being, right? Like the person, and to make sure we're treating candidates as people, not products. And when you say like prioritize being a human, like like prioritize the human element, can you please like explain to us a little bit about what that really means to you and how you show up at work?
Yeah, I think, especially growing up in Silicon Valley and being a part of the boom of a bunch of folks joining big tech, you kind of saw it on Front Street where everything was about the bottom line, everything was about 10xing your growth, everything was about the revenue, or I learned more about EBITDA than I could forget, right? And so I think seeing all those things and then kind of seeing it, the people function, and the humanity of which is why I joined in this career path, right? And prioritizing humans is something that I keep at top of mind on a daily basis. I think for my team, we're all speeding up to try to automate everything to really scale the process. And what I'm trying to re-educate my leaders on, as well as my team, is to make sure that we're prioritizing the people, the candidates. This is the nastiest job market I've seen in a long time. If you get on LinkedIn, people are burnt out. They are interviewing those job descriptions, or the job applications are being sent to what they like to call the black hole. And all this is true. I can post a job tomorrow and I'll get 1,500 applicants within 6 or 7 days, right? And you want to make those people feel seen, heard, and valued. And also, too, I don't think people are chasing the biggest compensation packages these days. I think they're really chasing a mission, a vision, being aligned to security and stability. And that starts with the brand owners, who I believe are the talent partners or recruiters, and the people who prioritize people the best and make those humans feel seen will win. I've seen people turn down X amount of dollars because of the treatment they received through the interview process, the white glove service they're receiving from recruiters, right? I think that brand recognition starts on that first conversation with actually just like learning, like, hey James, like, what do you like to do? I know we're talking about a job, but like, what about your hobbies and your child? What are some of your goals beyond the job description? And even if it doesn't work out, they remember those conversations and they'll go tell a friend, and then the friend will tell a friend, and all of a sudden it's not as competitive when you're also operating within the 75th percentile of pay bands, right? And so I think that's where we need to get back to, and especially with being a lot of this company is virtual, right? And I think we're doing a lot of virtual conversations, a lot of virtual panels, a lot of virtual job fairs. I made it my mission last year to get out and talk to as many candidates as possible, and it was probably the most fulfilling part of one of my most fulfilling parts of my career. Speaking on panels and actually talking with candidates, having them follow up on LinkedIn, even if I don't have a job, just being a part of my network, seeing that you are a connection to me might open up a door for someone else. So just having those small conversations and putting humans back at the center of, recruiting, which it should have always been, and which is fine, but not losing that North Star and keeping it as a North Star as well. I think that's been, my North Star for my team as well as the company I serve.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm curious, like, why? I mean, I can tell like you're like visually very passionate about this, right?
Yeah.
Like in terms of your body language, like, and just how you think about putting like creating great people, like experiences for people. I'm just wondering, is there anything that stands out to you as like why this is so important to you? Like, where do you think that comes from?
I think the passion that I have for connectivity in my job and making people feel seen is also how I show up in real life. As a friend, as a partner, I hope. Right. Right. And so I'm very, very passionate about making sure that like and our her father always says like our house is a light, right? And I like to make sure that people feel seen. I like to make sure people when we're hosting that people have what they need. And so that bleeds over into how I also like to show up in a professional setting. For a long time, I showed up as whatever the business or whatever my manager or whatever my team needed. But now I can confidently say, what you see right now is how I show up at work, how I show up with my friends and family as well. So I've kind of just really stepped into molding and melding the two personas because if you fake it for long enough, the mask is going to start to slip and you just feel insane. And obviously, you still have to show up as a slightly different way in a
Right.
professional
Yeah. Sure.
but like I won't talk to the board about popping champagne before I started at
Yeah.
Google. But I try to blend them as much as I can. And I think that starts with my personal life and how I like to show up for my friends. And so if I show up for my friends and families, how I like to show up for candidates because it's very, very hard economy right now, job search market right now, and people need love. People need the safe spaces, and I try to provide that from a recruiting lens.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And Jasmine, you talked about one of your biggest takeaways within talent acquisition, about like being genuine partners, a deep level with the different function leaders, like for instance, like with engineering and moving away from kind of a order taking model when it comes to talent acquisition. Uh, why is that what you chose to be like the most important takeaway as a TA leader at this point in your career?
Yeah, I love that question. And I think because like I think I've always been in any company that I've been in, it's been pay for performance and I've had equity or like certain stakes. But I think being at a startup and being at such a smaller startup where every single role and every single function just creates so much value and has so much impact and is critical to the success of the company. I think owning an entire function, like this is the first time I've ever owned the entire function, that really just makes it such a big thing for me, that I think is so important. And it also just translates, even if you're not, I think I have that mindset because I'm owning an entire function, but I'm realizing the importance of that. I don't care if you're a recruiting coordinator or a recruiter or a sourcer, like you very much have so much impact over what you're doing. And when you see yourself as, okay, I am a stakeholder here, I own this function, and the success of this company is relying on me bringing in good talent, I can't be an order taker because I know talent. I'm the talent expert. You might be the engineering expert. You might be the product expert, but you are relying on me to know like what processes we need to have in place, what, the market looks like, how we should be treating candidates, what is the highest bar for candidate experience, how do we get candidates to accept our offers when maybe we don't have the most attractive offer. These are things where we do have to speak up and we do have to know, hey, I know you want to hire two or three of these, but we should probably maybe hire one. And this is the reason why, without getting into specifics. But I think just owning that and knowing that, like, the success of talent, which is, I mean, human capital is one of the most, important parts of a company, the heart of the company. When you own that and like really take that seriously, you'll own like the partnerships and better partner and just own so many of the outcomes too. Like I just feel like I have been in a seat, especially earlier in my career, where I was just being an order taker and, maybe doing things that I didn't really think were the smartest and the best for the business. But like you do have to know talent and you do have to be comfortable in owning the function that you have and owning the success of it too.
So how does that really show up in how you engage with like other leaders within the organization? So for leaders tuning in, when you talk about like being a partner within engineering and kind of really standing up for like your expertise and your recommendations, um, I don't know. This is kind of like a big question. I think it's probably easier to answer like situationally, like if there's an example, but I definitely can relate to this in which it's being able to influence decisions related to process or potentially even like pretty significant portions of like maybe even like what's included in the role of the job description. Obviously, we're not engineers, but you have to know enough about it to really, right, to actually be able to be a strategic partner to some extent. But I think it's probably an area that a lot of people struggle with, right? Like truly being able to position themselves and step up as like a partner in the business. I mean, do you have any advice on how other leaders can do that?
Yeah, I think
Either of you. Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head. And I think like not just leaders and staff, I think leaders that I see across many functions, what you're kind of hinting at and going to, you said it, to influence. Like I think the biggest part of it is you need to know how to influence others. Like you're in a role where you're basically influencing your peers, so meaning you're leading without authority. And I think that is like a muscle that it's just not like the biggest muscle for everyone. I do think it's something you have to grow and you have to flex on. And I think one of the things that I learned very early on is learning how to like build a relationship and build that trust. Like I
Mhm.
feel like you can't just come in and like, hey, I did it here and this is why it'll work here. Like that's just, it doesn't work like that. Like I think we've seen it and we've had other people maybe try that with us and it rubbed us the wrong way. So knowing that you're coming in with an active ear to listen and to understand and really like positioning yourself as a thought partner, like not coming in and just changing everything, but understanding, okay, what's working, what's not working. Here's my 2 cents. Like I think maybe, and like just really using real examples. Like I think that's one thing that won for me very early on. And obviously this comes with experience, but I in the startup that I'm in today, a lot of the things that are happening, I'm like, oh, I've actually had this happen before. So I'm able to use like real world examples and then success too to kind of show like, hey, like maybe we should try it this way. Then you get a quick win there and then you gain that trust and you gain that
No, it's that thought partnership. I think,
exactly.
especially because recruiting is very much what have you done for me lately. So you're already battling against either the legacy of the individual or the team before you, and or a great one or a bad one. And I think it's communication. It's how you talk. It's recruiting is one part science, one part art. And it's a gray line to a gray area in terms of how you communicate with those leaders, how you give them just enough to make them think that they are running the process sometimes, and then how you also strong arm the process without their knowing, right? And just that partnership in terms of how you give to get, and in terms of letting them feel like it is a true partnership, while you also remain the subject matter expert on recruiting, on talent acquisition as well. But I think it's communication, and there's a real science to knowing when to push and when not to push.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately comes with experience, because I think we've all had very, very tough conversations that we've replayed in our mind, and like, man, I should have said this or I should have done this. And but those are learning experiences as well. And now I know how to navigate some of the bigger personalities, or some of the folks who need the structure or the guardrails, or need a structured interview process, or need to be handheld, or need the white glove service. That it just comes with time, because recruiting is definitely not a one size fits all, because your problems are not mine and mine aren't yours. But you've experienced it all at this point. So
Completely agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, for sure. It's being able to articulate the reason why things need to be done a certain way. There's also times that where you just have to sort of like I think hold your ground, right? Like and make very firm like this is our process, this is how we're doing things. It's maybe when it comes to the specifics of what a role entails in a JD and like the outcomes that the role needs to produce, of course, like that should be owned by the function lead. But when it comes to hiring that person, like that's right, a talent leader's domain. And recommendations can be given, right? But like it's our process, just like you can give recommendations to an engineering leader, but like at the end of the day, it's like they have the expertise to hire the person that they need to hire, right? And that should be their decision. And I think there have definitely been times like and just talking about this topic a little bit longer where you really just have to sometimes put your foot down. I mean, we recently you know have a situation with a customer that I think business is super situational, right? So what I'm about to say is very situational to this business, but there are very specific reasons why they need to hire talent in office.
Mhm.
For my own companies, right? Like particularly for one, I have an office in West Virginia for part of my staff because I think it's necessary. The majority of my team is actually remote throughout the United States, Latin America, Europe. So I have like a blended kind of motion, right? So it's hyper situational. For this business, they are going through like a cultural U-turn. It's like a kind of a turnaround situation, right? So we have to bring in office. And this is a really that's like a challenging one, right? Because it's like it's very, people have very strong opinions on it, and there are times like where certain function leads within the company where it's like Look, at the end of the day, like this is our response. Like I'm responsible for making sure we get the right person in the seat, to make sure that we're getting the right performance out of our team, like to build it and guide the talent strategy. And you know, it's like learning how to the nuance of communication of like articulating the value, and then also just being willing to say, okay, I got to put myself out there and just say this is just how it needs to be done. And that's just what I have to do to make sure we're driving success, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because yeah, you at the end of the day, you own the success of that, and then you also have to take ownership on when it doesn't go right and when it fails. So like, yeah, if you're not speaking up and you saw that coming, like that's also on you too.
Yeah,
So
also true.
yeah, it's a lot of give and take, but it is a lot of like, okay, this is what has to happen in this.
Right.
Yeah, for-
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of nuance in the communication aspect for sure.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, hey, look, on the prep call, just to like transition, I want to talk more about like who you both want to become, holistically as people, professionally, personally. Um, Darian, you spent a fair amount of time. You talked about a few things, but one of the things that you talked about was really focusing on like getting back to your authentic self. Um, and I'm curious to learn more about what you mean by that and why that is something that's like such a important like focal point for you right now.
Yeah, I think because it brings me the most peace. I think it's really hard for me to fake the funk and to show up in a manner that isn't authentic to who I am at my core, and it'll just eat at me and eat at me, and then that will kind of show up in how I might show up at the park with my daughter, or how I might show up on a date night, and that will kind of reverberate through how I leave my home. So if I don't bring my true authentic self to my job. Um, it will kind of be it'll have the cause and effect to how I show up as a friend and everything else as well. It just makes me happy to say if I'm showing up this way and it didn't work out, at least I showed up as the most honest person in this specific situation. And it just gives me a certain level of peace and ownership to all the things across my personal life and professional life. And very very recently, probably within the last year or so, I've gotten just very confident with advocating for myself. I've always been blessed to have advocates like my wife, and also some mentors who've spoken my name in rooms that I could never even dream of being in. And very recently, I've been able to do that for myself, to say this is my worth, to say this is how I believe I've showed up as a leader. This is what I should be paid. This is how I believe my team should be paid. Conversations I would have shrunken at years ago. But I just have a newfound confidence within myself. And I think it's important for the people around me as well. As you transition and get older, those mentors aren't going to be around and as active in your life as well too. And then you have people looking up to you as well to also be an advocate for them and holding the door open for them. I've personally had a chance to hire some colleagues from our personal network, or actually an individual that we met six no yeah 16 years ago at a teen group, almost 14 years, 12 or so years ago as well. At the first job that we had, I ended up hiring him or referring him into Twitter and then hiring him at Eventbrite. So just being an advocate for individuals like that, I think it just means the world to me. And I can't do that unless I'm authentically advocating for who I am as well, and standing in my own truth. And that's what makes me happy as a person, professionally and personally.
You also talked a lot about like the importance of community and advocacy to in terms of like having like being a mentor as something that's like really important to you at this chapter in your life as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always been like my house was the house where all the kids hung out on the front porch. My dad hated it. We tore up the yard. We played football, and like they'd be over the house eating all his food in the, in the refrigerator. But that was always my home growing up, and so I've had the privilege, the wonderful privilege to have the same group of friends since I've been like in the fifth grade. And we've kind of matriculated through life together. I've seen them have children. I'm a godparent to almost like six kids now. And
Nice.
yeah, and so it's awesome. And to see us all grow together and change. You're a different man at 18, 21, 23, married, homeowner, father. And so seeing all those things, I think, has always been a pillar for me in terms of prioritizing the community everywhere I've been. And because I've had that at such a young age, especially being a middle child, when you're so far away from your younger sibling, and then your older brother is also a little bit older and doing his own things. I had to go out and create for myself. And so that group of men has matriculated through my life, and also too, we've lived in Virginia, DC, Arizona, San Francisco, now Houston, and we've been able to create hubs. That's why we have 50 people coming to
That's
our
so
murder
cool.
mystery party, right? Because I value community so much, and as much as it's important for them, probably more important for us. It fills me up to open up my home to host. We host the Super Bowl party as well. So we always try to continue to do those things because not now more than ever, people need safe spaces, and I try to do that in my personal life because it gives me so much peace to see smiles on individuals' faces, my friends and family, and also do that same thing in my professional life as well.
I love it. And you also had shared that you tend to think about like how you think about prioritization in terms of like pillars, right? So
Yeah.
for you, you mentioned it was like three primary pillars, right?
Yeah, so my pillars are faith, family, and fitness. And I found myself like, as any father, like just getting overwhelmed by all the things I tried to just check off a list. And I found when I make the target a little bit smaller and I focus in on just a few things and I create a system in which mediocrity can't live in those three things, right? I'm not going to be mediocre as a father. I'm not going to be mediocre as, someone in my faith, and I dang sure don't want to be mediocre in my fitness, right? And so those three things, when I find myself checking off those three boxes, everything else kind of falls in place, right? And so I have that system. I feel alive. I feel present. I don't feel overwhelmed by all the other things that come with life when I'm doing those three things on a consistent basis, working out, being present, being one with my faith as well. So when I check those boxes, I feel centered, I feel happy, I feel at peace. And then that bleeds into how I show up as a professional as well.
I love
Yeah.
that. Jasmine, do you think in terms of like the like high level pillars as well, or does your mind kind of operate in a different way? How do you,
Naturally, honestly, yeah. Like I
yeah,
think those are like my main ones. And I think like just in general, like we do have a lot of like just the same values, like core values. Like I think I said this earlier, like our prep, like our theme for this year is community. And not that it hasn't always been community, like that is such an important part of just, who we are as people and how we show up for others is just so important. But this year, I just feel like and maybe the previous years, not that we slipped away from it, but we did like just like those small like community connections. Like we love to just have touch points all the time. And I think in a world where everything is like about aesthetics and being curated, like I personally just love like every single week I'd love to have my friends over or vice versa, like just creating moments for us to get together. And I felt like and sometimes a lot of people maybe could resonate with this like if it's not like a moment like something curated like you don't really do it like I love having those times where and this is something that it's sometimes hard because community can be inconvenient like maybe I just want to sit around one Sunday and not have friends over but once you do you realize the importance of it and how much you actually needed it but I like to just say come over for no reason like I don't have a real reason it's not going to be an Instagrammable moment, but we're gonna hang out and connect and love it. My house might not be the cleanest right now. My child might not have had a nap and she might be really, really grumpy.
Yeah.
But like let's be together, let's hang out. I think that's something when I say community and I heavy on that inconvenience piece because it can be,
Yeah.
but I do think it's so worth it.
You cannot want community and then have an aversion to inconvenience.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with being inconvenienced.
right?
That comes with the territory. To your point, I double check on or double tap on all those points.
Yeah.
Plus one.
Plus one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually like a really good point. Like thinking about it, it's like, okay, you have to it's any of the things that I think for the most part, most things that are most valuable in life like take a lot of they take work. Like even if it's like really things that create a lot of joy, uh, right, which we'll talk about in a minute too, Jasmine. Like you talk about the difference between like the importance of joy and the nuanced difference between joy and happiness. A lot of the things that are most fulfilling, right? Like it's hard work, right? Like family is another one. What I've learned is like if you want to have a close relationships with family, it's like there's an element of like work. I don't know if I call it inconvenience, but like there's an element of work that goes into maintaining those relationships, and you have to really make that happen, right? Like same with like even just health, right? Like it can be inconvenient to work out every day. It can be really hard. I mean, I try to, it doesn't always happen.
I wish I could just
Right?
hit a button and then not have to wake up when it's dark
Yeah.
outside. You have to be intentional about the things that don't come easy. um,
Yeah.
community, health, fitness, whatever it might be. Just an intentionality. It does. It's a lift.
A lot of things worth
Hard,
having, hard to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
hard to have for sure. I think the community is like a really interesting one too. Has me thinking about like, you know, my priorities and probably making that more because I think that that is the one that slips for a lot of people, right? Because you get so wrapped up in like family and work, right?
Yeah, so you're like, yeah, who has time for friends? But then when you
Yeah.
really peel back the layers and you realize, okay, why don't we have time? Why can't you like our friends, we mentioned one of our goddaughters, she's 5 minutes away from us.
Yeah.
And we realized last year we let so much time slip for what reason? Like we're realizing we're actually at home in our, individual homes doing the same thing. Why not come over and we do it
Yeah.
together? Like our daughters can, hang out, they're 6 months apart, and I think it was like last weekend, we all knew like we wanted to do a Sunday night prep for work. That's something that we always kind of do. Let's all do it together. And
Yeah.
the girls can hang out. And like, it doesn't have to be like this big thing where, we are just paying attention to each other the whole time. And we have, these extravagant things happening. It's just like small things that just you have to be intentional
Yeah.
with. And if one of us wasn't intentional with it, which, we hadn't been in the past for a few times, then
Yeah.
it just wouldn't happen.
I'll say it's easy for us too because we hold each other accountable. Like we're
Yeah.
complete opposites in terms of like our social. You said very recently that our social values are similar. Once I get outside or I start socializing, I'm an introvert by nature, but once I flip the switch, you probably would never tell. But most times I'm like I have to recharge. It takes a lot for me to get up and go and do. And she is my yang in that sense where she'll make me get up and go and do. Once I get up and go and do, I love doing it. So hold each other accountable in that sense as well. And then also too, sometimes she'll say, "Hey, I know we signed up for it," because I always agree to things when I have energy, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
and then
Yeah.
the time will come to cash the check. I'm like, why did I agree to that?
Hmm.
But it's always worth it when we actually get up and do it. And you feel recharged in doing that as well. So
I agree.
that having that accountability partner who also knows what gives you strength, and when you also can tell like maybe tonight is not the best day, and we
Mhm.
both kind of agree on that, it's good to have at home.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
So, Jasmine, one of the things that you told me is how much you emphasize in your own life thinking about like living a life of gratitude.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I'm just in such a season of gratitude, and I think just that mindset shift for me has been so like pivotal in like how I show up every day. I think as a mom, a wife, a sister, a friend, like I think just how I kind of view like the world. I think life can be so hard sometimes. There's so many things that happen in life, but I think when you're intentional with gratitude and just really as cliche as it can sound, looking at the glass half full, not half empty, it really like that subtle shift can just bring such a difference in your life. And it has for me, like just being thankful for the things I have. Like I literally wake up and I'm remembering the things that I'm thankful for. Like just I don't know, my cup of coffee, or, like that I can be at home and work, that I can, get ready with my daughter and actually be able to take her to school and not have to rush it. Like things like that, I always remember, even though it could be something that's like inconvenience at the time. But I think the gratitude piece and then coupling that with like joy, like I think joy, and you kind of mentioned this too, the difference between joy and happiness. Happiness can be fleeting, it can be situational, but joy is something that you choose to have and that you choose, like no matter what the circumstances, good or bad, you just believe that whatever is happening is going to work out for you, it's working in your favor, and just having joy in everything, no matter what the circumstances. So I think having that mindset is something today that I'm really striving to live by, and a work in progress every single day. Like it's easier said than done, but I think when you looked at like the question you asked is like, who are you becoming and like, what do you want to become? I would hope that I, keep living my life like that. And I look back and I remember all of these hard situations and just being proud of myself, like looking at the resilience that my grandparents, my ancestors, my mother, like those situations that were really tough, that they had. And then me, I know that I can look back and be proud of how they showed up and how they were as women, and they're my role models. If I can look back and, things that I've gone through, that I had this shift in knowing that I got through it, or that mindset knowing that I got through it, and was that role model for my daughter. Like I think I would love to be that woman, and I hope that's who I am becoming.
I was going to say the same thing. I know you do that. And you also, it's not just personal, it's professional as well. Like I think there's so much, and we talk about this all the time, like the way that people view you, they know like your energy will affect the room, good or bad, and you have to intentionally flip that switch. And the intentionality behind that is, I think that's the most impressive piece about it. It's so easy for us to be like, oh well, it's an early morning and to drag, and then your child sees that, and or the first person that you open your laptop and have that meeting with, they see that as well, and then you're off to a bad start. So kudos to you. I took my cap, give you flowers for actually leading that charge of being what you're saying as well on a daily basis. Yeah.
I feel like you talk about too, like the energy, like how you show up in the room, and like I think I've really I think about that a lot more now as a parent.
Hmm.
And it's like one of the things that I remind myself of is like sometimes, okay, like when I'm in like dad mode, often like it's at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Like after, like we're in a people business, and it's like it's messy. Like we're dealing with
Yes.
like chaos, right? And so it's like, okay, like the most important job I have, like the most important thing I have to do today is also the last thing I have to do when I'm tired, and and all that. It's like, so it's like being really intentional. I think maybe, Jasmine, like you said it best, if you can approach it from this place of gratitude of like, this is like, I'm so fortunate to be able to be here in this, in whatever situation, despite challenges, right? Because we are so lucky, right? Like we're so lucky to have the careers that we do, the families that we do. Particularly when you like, you turn on the news for like 2 seconds these days, it's like
It's heavy.
crazy right now. I really also, I like how you kind of differentiate the idea of like joy and like happiness. Like joy to me, like the word that comes to mind is like fulfillment.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree completely. Yeah, fulfillment and like, and I don't even, and it's not a place of like complacency or anything like that either. Like I'm not saying that,
No.
but like, just fulfillment and content. Like I am happy. I know that I'm not happy, but I have joy in knowing that I am, in my opinion, like I live by this, I am where I'm supposed to be, and the things that are happening are working out for me. Like, even if it's a hard thing, I went through a layoff. I found the joy in that. I know it sounds so crazy to see, and I know like people talk about like toxic positivity. I don't think there's any such thing for me in my life. That's just what I believe. And I think that's what got me through that, and how I was able to so quickly overcome that situation, because I got up every day with a positive outlook and realizing there's just something better for me. And there was. Like that just shift. And that's just one thing, but there's so many
We
things
were
that
actually just talking about that, about how many people actually don't know that you were laid off, and we actually celebrated your 5-year Google versary that day, or the next day.
I think my Google Varsity, the fifth year, was like maybe that day
Yeah.
or or it was like 2 days later or something. But we
Yes.
were already talking about it coming up. And I was in the first round. So one of those 12,000 emails, that was
This
me.
was
So
2020.
yeah, I got that email. And we still, and I'm not going to say I wasn't upset and sad. Of course, like I grieved, like not being able to do it on my own time and not be able to say bye to all of my colleagues. But we went out that day. I shut down my computer. I did not work that day,
I
obviously.
took off.
We and Darien took off, and we went around. We went and got food, all my favorite food spots. We went to a happy hour. Darien actually ended up, he got me a cake, and he was like, happy Googleversary. Like, we're gonna
Oh yeah.
remember this is 5 big years that
Yeah.
you had, no matter what they did and how they,
Yeah.
ended it. I am very thankful of the relationships, of the, experience, just so many beautiful things that happened there, such a beautiful chapter. And you know what? I got to go have another opportunity that day. My boss, who had already left Google, and he went to Zscaler, hit me up that same day and said, I have the perfect opportunity for you, same
Good for
day.
you.
And literally, so I got to leave, and they paid me to leave to go to another really good job.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get like a bonus essentially. And
Literally.
That package was great. Thanks,
Yeah.
Google.
wow.
We never
Yeah.
talk, we don't talk that on Google this something. Uh, but I think to really put a bow on it too, it's really just having, we talk about this all the time, the blessing it is to have a sound mind and the ability to rationalize your issues, and it's not toxic positivity. I think it's just bringing logic and rationality to this issue. It's like, I'm going to get through it. It's not the end of the world. I still have air in my lungs. I still have clothes in my back. I have food in my belly. What next? How do we solve the next problem? And the ability to rationalize that, because not everyone has a sound mind. Sometimes that layoff can send someone off the deep end, right? And you've given 20 years to a Google, and they send you an email in the middle of the night. You don't know how to make sense of that sometimes.
And I understand that. And this is not me saying that you
Yeah,
can't be that person.
100%.
I'm just saying, like, I'm very grateful to have this
Yeah,
mindset. And I
yeah,
know it's not a one size fits all. And I know
Yeah.
it's not, you can't just say, hey, just how about you try being happy, or how about you try having joy? Like, like sometimes, to your point,
It's
like
tough.
you can't. Maybe it is a mental or chemical thing or whatever
Yeah.
the case is. But for me, that's something I really do value. I'm just very fortunate to
Yeah.
have. I realize it's not.
Well,
Um,
it's not easy, but
yeah.
it's I think it's like it's critically important, right? Like
Mhm.
to kind of manage your mental state throughout like big transitions, right? And
Mhm.
then I like, and maybe also just reminding ourselves too, it's like that this is the problem today or in this chapter, or maybe even for the next year or two. I mean, like sometimes like it seems like the older you get, sometimes like the longer and harder it is to pull up out of a, these problems just get bigger, right? But I think it is really important because it's like I feel like a lot of and maybe it's just humans, like we can have a tendency to focus on like what's wrong versus what's right.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
I think
Yeah.
that's a natural inclination. Your
yeah.
default is to think about the bad, and
Hmm.
prioritize that and put a highlight on that. It's human, to your
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I hear this a lot from and maybe this is common knowledge at this point. I don't know. But I hear it a lot from a lot of the most successful leaders and not just like professional leaders, like just like successful people. I mean that term like broadly, like successful in life. Um, but anyways, guys, I know we're coming up on time here, so I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been great, like having the opportunity to learn from both of you and to hear about like your life experience and how you both have worked together to support each other to be the best version of yourselves. It was a really interesting episode. It felt really nice being able to switch it up, and I just genuinely enjoyed this conversation. So thank you.
Thank you. I had such a good time.
Yeah.
And I know, hopefully, I know this is about us, but it was nice, even like your tidbits and things that you mentioned. I would love to, I didn't want to like take the mic from you and like interview you, but like, yeah, it sounds like you just have a lot of wealth of knowledge and so many cool things happening. So it's
Oh,
great. We're honored to be here, honestly.
Yeah, no, thank you for reaching. We don't get to tell our story often. We actually don't like to, like in terms of like, I don't know, being the center of attention. Like it is a unique story, right? And like
yeah.
we well, and sometimes we feel like it can overshadow whatever other
Mhm.
issues there are, because we know we've been, very, very lucky and blessed to be in this position to have known each other so long as well too. So this was nice. I enjoyed talking through this story and kind of walking down memory lane about carpool.
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Bishop said
Yeah,
we should
no,
be. I
I
would love
know.
to go to carpool right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad we talked about that because I think I am going to try to take my team there sometime soon. I don't know. I'll look at my calendar for Friday. It's probably we'll see,
We'll
but
let you know
sometime
too
soon.
next time we're in town. We'll
Yeah,
definitely,
for
Yes, you guys,
sure.
do you still visit?
yeah, all the time.
We do. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I get
okay.
back to yeah, I don't know about that area as much, but we'll definitely be out there
Yeah,
soon.
Well, if you're out there, like we can maybe
We
we
can
meet
be
somewhere
out
like in the middle or something like
yeah,
that. Or something
there.
like
Yeah.
that.
no, it has to be carpool.
It is
Yeah.
like it will make
Okay.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
do it. Let's go to carpool when are you guys
Yeah.
coming to town?
Well, we'll be in Baltimore,
Probably
but
this
that's
summer.
so
You
short.
probably come up to
Well,
at least
Baltimore, April.
for your family reunion.
Oh, in June too. Yeah, we'll be in the area in June.
Yeah,
Yeah.
June?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Are we gonna do this?
And we
Let's
have
do
to.
it.
We
And
will,
we'll
Hell
fly.
yeah.
No, we could just fly into IAD.
and come down.
It's right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll do
Okay,
that.
let's do it.
Yeah,
It's
All right.
it's set.
yeah.
It's
It's a
done.
good.
And then that way I can hear all about the murder mystery
Yes.
And
dinner
that'll be
too.
right after it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Absolutely,
And then we can
absolutely.
talk
Awesome.
about you and your amazing life.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'd be great to get to know you guys
Um,
better.
you can exchange girl dad notes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I got lots of stories there. Yeah, I feel like we probably could have recorded for another hour or two. It's just
No,
there's a
yeah.
lot of stuff that maybe we could do this again
I would
Yeah,
sometime.
love to.
we'd love to do
Yeah,
that.
Love to.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, thanks again, James. Nice to
yeah.